laughing. I'm laughing, people. This is what they're trying to fist feed you right now. So, we just got this, highly anticipated inflation report. The market has been on edge for days. Well, it comes in today. Wouldn't you know it? Better than expected. What they're trying to convince you of right now is year over year, inflation has risen only 8.5%. Does that feel right to you? How about no? Okay, anybody who's paying even the slightest bit of attention knows this is bullshit. Okay, it's kind of what they always do. They try to convince you that what you are seeing with your own eyes is not real. Well, on the back of this obviously completely fake number, stock futures are skyrocketing. You got Dow futures right now up over 400 points. The dollar, are you watching the dollar? It is cratering down over 1.21%. It is epic. The 10-year yield, well, by some miracle, it has calmed down. You know the game here, people. This is outrageous in my view, and it's so freaking in our face. It's laughable. Okay, they're gonna keep suppressing rates here. Okay, by any mechanism possible. This is the Fed. They're buying it all along with the ECB. They're sending a message to the market. That's all this is. It's a language. Get in here, start buying institutions. That's it. People, what do we know is going on? People are suffering. They can't make ends meet. They're borrowing beyond their eyeballs. Credit card debt, consumer debt, personal debt, record highs. But meanwhile, I mean, come on. It's just so in our face what is happening right now. But okay, it doesn't matter. You and I realize what's going on. We're going to play the game as well. You know what I've been doing? I'm in this market again, hardcore. I own thousands and thousands and thousands of shares of JEPI right now. I will continue to buy more. In fact, I'll probably buy more today here. I'm not telling you you should buy it. Do your own research into this, okay? I like the structure of the fund, ticker JEPI, period, the
I'm
end.
waiting
You
for
need
him
to
to
bet
talk
against
about
the
this.
debt,
Is
become your own central bank, realize what's going
irrelevant
on
to me.
around you here. The distractions, the
But
lies, the
I'll interrupt.
deceptions, the look here's, the look, don't
Is
look
that
over there.
that's Gregory Manarino from Gregory Manarino, TradersChoice.net. He's talking about what went on in the market today, which is entirely predictable. That they'd come in with fake inflation numbers. Everything about this government and news is completely fake. It's 100% fake. I, what he gets to in a few minutes is that everything is going up. You know, gold, silver, doesn't matter. Tech is going through the roof. The thing that's going down precipitously is the U.S. dollar. This is planned. They're doing this to destroy the value of the U.S. dollar. You're not fighting inflation by uh, all the moves that the central government is taking. They sent their biggest aid package, over to the Ukraine, which is a sinkhole. The war's already lost. Anybody following it at all? You've got the profiteering, is what this is called. It's war profiteering by the military industrial complex and the people who have investments in military equipment and weapons, and it gets destroyed, and then we're going to build it back better. We're going to build back the Ukraine back better. No, my prediction is that the Ukraine will surrender to Russia and be absorbed back into Russia when they get around to it, and that China is going to take Taiwan. This is an inevitability. We're not going to fight a war against China with a few naval vessels off their coast, that nuclear weapon charge, whatever we send over there, any more than they would fight a war against us by bringing over some of their fleet and staging them off the coast of San Francisco. It's just in common sense terms, it's completely idiotic. But there's no common sense involved when you have I don't know, is the public believing this? I don't know what part of the public is believing this, but I can only imagine what VR reality they inhabit. Well, I'm reality based. I'm a spiritual reality based, but I also, the spiritual reality is playing out, and that's what I'm connecting is what's going on in the spiritual reality with what's going on in this material reality. I like listening to Manarino and I like listening to military analysts, but I'm hearing it from a different point of view. Now, this destruction, this is satanic. In other words, this is Satan's kingdom, and this is going to happen whether anybody likes it or not, because that's who is the ruler of the earth. Lucifer is rising. He's taking souls at a blinding clip, and America is in the crosshairs now for any number of reasons, one of which is we've been war criminals for years. The left has screamed the loudest and the longest about this through all of its publications, The Nation magazine. Meanwhile, they're split. They want power. The far left wants power. So they get the deal every time by the Republican corporate Democratic Party of Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton and George Soros and Bill Gates and Zuckerberg and the Bezos and you name it. That's the Democratic Party. You have these little group of lunatics, the Bernie Sanders that have this crackpot economic system that's now in place, because that's exactly what the globalists want. They want to destroy the American economy. They want to destroy the value of the dollar. Now, once again, the lunatic left, right, as I know them and see them, Roger Waters is on CNN talking about Joe Biden as a war criminal. Of course, well, who does he think he is? Who did Roger Waters think he was? Exactly. He's Obama's next in line when their war criminal policies and activities are going on through the Middle East. Roger Waters is against it all, and yet he's for the election of Biden. None of it makes any sense at all, except in terms of materialistic. You're going to get more people into the stadiums or whatever. You're going to get more people watching this or that broadcast. I'm seeing just a replay, year after year. Now we're replaying the 60s revolution, except this is a civil war. We're divided down the middle, 50-50. There's going to be a huge, like myself, I'm a person in dead center in terms of politics because I'm apolitical. I see it all as a power. It's like being in first century Rome and hoping that my side gets takes power, and that then will rebuild the empire. It's not going to happen. I hate to be the bearer of bad news to people that have a hope that material prosperity is returning to America. It just isn't. It obviously isn't. The AOC Sanders crew are now signed up for the war, right? I mean, they're all voting for aid to the Ukraine, which is a proxy war, just like all our wars are. I mean, that's like the proxy war in Afghanistan, where we give all our weapons away to the Taliban, working weapons. Who's that benefiting? When has that ever been done in history? I can't. I think you'd be hard pressed to look where the masses of military, useful, deadly military equipment was handed over to the army that had just defeated you willingly while you're still in a war with them. We're still in a war with the Taliban, but just for that time period, they're our allies, and we're going to give them the names of the Americans on the ground who were helping us in the war. In any other sane country, this would be seen as a treasonous government, but we're so blinded by the camouflage and the propaganda that's nonstop, and it's all sex, 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 drugs, and rock and roll and Hollywood movies, and so looking at reality is a little part. It flickers for a second and then it disappears into the memory hole. Obama was. I mean, why do I know about all of Obama's crimes and Hillary's crimes? Because I was in the left. I was reading The Nation magazine, and I'm reading Chomsky, and I'm reading Howard Zinn and all the rest of them. The far left who I gave up on politics. I'll tell you that's why you're not listening to a political commentator. You're listening to somebody who believes in God and who believes in the devil. So this is an aspect of my belief, is seeing what's happening in real terms on the political global scheme as just a function of the spiritual battle that's going on in the heavenlies. Heaven, hell. God is up above in the top realm of heaven. Satan is below, Lucifer, in his own kingdom. There are two kingdoms. Lucifer's kingdom is descending. It's always been here, but these demons who are here in the persons of themselves, playing out through all of this witchcraft and sorcery and black magic and occult practices. And the most interesting thing to me is I realize lately that these Quetzalcoatl and the gods that were worshipped were demons in these ancient civilizations. They're demons who expected human sacrifice of virgins, sacrifice of children, innocent lives sacrificed to them on altars, having their, in Mayan civilization, thrown into wells, and in Aztec civilization, having their hearts cut out, live alive, palpitating, while with obsidian knives, and the bodies cast down the steps to the bottom of the pyramids, and the interiors of the temples being covered in blood and flies and intestine. It's, and we glamorize. I mean, the '60s glamorized all of this. This is a beatific civilization, and the Mayans are peaceful. No, they weren't. They were bloodthirsty, demon worshiping, idol worshiping. They're a good. Just go back in history and look through what kind of barbarism is what kind of barbarism we're descending into is the same kind of idol worship as you see in going back to Rome, right? Let's just put it there with Nero, with the Colosseum, with Christians and whoever else being mutilated by lions or taken out in front of powerful gladiators and sliced up, for the amusement, just like we have now. We can watch it on TV, or you can watch these battering, women pummeling themselves with kickboxing and all the rest. They're blood sports, and it's become more and more violent as as the satanic empire expands and comes out, with the Epstein circle and all of the rest. Uh, there's only one protection from this. It's not going to be in your 401ks or investing in gold like Manarino's market people. If the dollar, and it is going to happen when the dollar is devalued and goes into hyperinflation, which is what they're doing, you can't keep putting billions and billions and billions and billions of throwing it away, throwing money away. I mean, if they were even investing it in something other than sending weaponry into that's just being blown up when it gets there, along with what is it's like numbers say half the Ukrainian fighting force is already demolished. So who's fighting? Who's going to win the war in the Ukraine? Are we sending in troops? England said they were going to have boots on the ground. I know, and the British government just collapsed. They're, I follow this out of my peripheral vision, but it's easy enough to see what's happening. And what's happening is the Great Reset, which means the American dollar collapses. We're in hyperinflation, and Klaus Schwab from the WEF puts in place what they've always been announcing for years and years and years. That it'll be a digital currency, and there's this horrific world coming into view. For me, at least, I don't know how many other people see it, but I see it really clearly. And I'm trying to not alarm people. I alarm them if they're sound asleep. Alarm them into waking up to what's happening and turning off the flow of images, the flow of entertainment. If you're not watching, which I'm not, I've stopped watching entertainment over a year ago. And I'd only watched it selectively in pieces before that because I was socializing. You can't socialize with people unless you're watching entertainment, because that's all they're talking about is whatever the clown show is going on MSNBC or NPR or whatever. It's completely fake news. NPR is like listening to Fantasy Island or something. There's no recession, and there's no, inflation's under control, and or the war in Ukraine. Yeah, that's still going well. It's there's going to be a new offensive starting. I went through this in Vietnam where they cooked all the numbers. All it was about how many people we killed. We killed 10,000. The body count. Like, we're winning the war in Vietnam. Yeah, we're winning the war in Afghanistan. It only took 20 years, and then we get out. What the media won't admit, because the people themselves won't admit it, is that we lost the war to begin with. Just like everybody else who ever went to war in Afghanistan. Somehow Americans, in their grandiosity or sense of being exceptional, that they're the one nation that no rules apply to, have ended up creating a whole fantasy world they can live in, while everybody else is well, for example, in the Ukraine, everybody else is getting their apartment buildings blown out from under them. I was listening to one commentator said the money we've sent into the Ukraine, you could buy Kiev, with that money. Go in and use the money productively somewhere. But war doesn't produce anything but devastation and destruction. And that's what we're invariably committed to. And it's coming home. My prediction, I'll just end with this because I don't want to go on. I've got to get to work. Is that we're on our way to civil war. That I've said this for the last two years, and there's nothing that so far that's made me alter that prediction. It's a terrible thing to see this happening and to have be in a society that simply ignores it. They simply ignore reality, and because of it, that's the reason it's going to happen. Because people are just like the first Civil War, the one in 1865. It's there's screaming and pain and the economic pain is what's happening. And people, once they're pushed to the point 6 out of 10 people can't pay basic necessities. Again, like Manarino was referring to, they don't have the money to absorb this kind of inflation. And it's not 8%; it's more like 100%. I'm on a lot of things I'm looking at the grocery store. I just saw a report in Alaska at Fairbanks, major city. The Walmart's half depleted because people are buying the cheapest stuff. And what's a big thing of you get a cucumbers, they're only $3.80 for a single cucumber. Can you imagine? You could get a meal for $3.80, not a single cucumber, right? So something is so radically and dramatically wrong, and our government is just lying through its teeth, and people are sitting there listening to this shit, to like listen to this absolute bullshit, and walking around in a coma as if we've got to win the war in Ukraine or whatever they point us to, or Donald Trump's. That's another one. Donald Trump's house is being raided now. Let's just keep on with this Trump mania that he's threatening the Republic. The people threatening the Republic are the ones who are robbing us blind while they're breaking into Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence for what? Why did they break into Jeffrey Epstein's? Why did they go where the real criminals are in these pedophile rings? That's what the FBI is supposed to be doing, is going after the criminals, not an ex-president where there's already been 2 impeachment trials where they have no evidence, credible evidence of all the things they said. It's already been proven that Hillary Clinton campaign, the DNC, planted false evidence through British intelligence about Trump and Russian prostitutes. The whole thing that's going on now in a nutshell is that the Democrats are going to destroy the economy, do anything they possibly can because they don't want the Republicans to come back in, because the second Republicans come back into power, there's going to be impeachment investigations and everything else going on, for what happened. And my belief is it's not going to happen. There'll be a coup d'etat or whatever. The Republicans are never coming back into power. And that's where the Civil War is starting. Anyway, we'll see what happens. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this stuff, but one reason I'm talking about it is now I can't talk about it with anybody else in the local community, particularly the Christian community that's out in cloud cuckoo land. They're all joy to the Lord. There's joy to the Lord in the house of the Lord today. So that's as crazy as it gets, and it's all politicized. So there's the war coming. There's the war coming. These people that are not living in the real world and are not going to accept this draconian reality that's being forced on them. The paramilitary peoples, what have you, the Cliven Bundys up in Oregon. I've lived out west. I don't know them personally, but they'd be in the coffee shops or wherever in their combat fatigue. A lot of them are CIA. A lot of them are ex-military. Who knows? Anyway, God bless everybody. Be safe.